We're fortunate today to have Representative Ruth with us. She represents the 114th District, which encompasses part of Jefferson County in the Missouri House of Representatives. She was elected to her first two-year term in 2014. In addition to her legislative duties, Representative Ruth currently works as a real estate agent, and she's also a retired teacher and taught at Festus High School. Representative Ruth attends Victory Church in Peevely, Missouri. In addition, she is a member of the Jefferson County Parents as Teachers Advisory Board and the Jefferson County Growth Association. In 2009, she was the state president of the Missouri State Teachers Association. Representative Ruth currently resides in Festus with her husband, Don. They have 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Representative Ruth serves as the chair of the Missouri House of Representatives Transportation Committee. Representative Ruth, thanks so much for agreeing to talk with us today, and feel free to go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me visit with you all today. I'm very honored. Serving as House Transportation Chair has given me a really unique perspective on all things transportation. Over the past, I was vice chair for 2 years, and now I'm in my 3rd year as chairing the committee. So when I first started in the legislature, I dove right into transportation issues with our ports, and then moving into the more broader issues of transportation. I've really seen the need as we've gone along for added funding for our transportation system, and really have researched and tried to look at what other states have been doing and what could Missouri do. So as a result of that, I filed House Bill 1044, had the chance to visit with Senator Grooms from South Carolina, who passed a very similar legislation in 2017 there. They were about where we are in terms of transportation funding, had tried many times to get something passed over the years, and were not able to do it till they came up with what we are now calling the South Carolina model. We tweaked it a little bit to fit our state. So House Bill 1044 would raise the fuel tax 2 cents over 5 years for a total of 10 cents. But it has the caveat that you would be able to get a rebate on only the amount of the new taxes. So much like the ag fuel rebate. So if you don't want to pay that tax, then save your gas receipts. At the end of the year, you can turn them in. The Department of Revenue has 30 days to issue that refund to you. If they don't do it within 30 days, they will also have to pay you interest. With South Carolina's model, they did theirs as an income tax credit, which we really can't do here in Missouri. We have the Hancock stipulation, so we want to make sure that we are staying within those limits. So the rebate was our best option. South Carolina also made theirs for only South Carolinians, but due to the interstate commerce clause that we have here in Missouri, we are not able to do that. So it is open. But in South Carolina in 2020, they returned about a little over $3 million. However, they took in over $500 million as a result of this. So while we know this is just one tool in the toolbox to help our transportation funding, I think it's an innovative idea. I think it's something that a lot of people can get on board with. It makes it a little bit easier for them to be able to vote for this. Also, this would not be on the ballot. This is something that the legislature can do through the House and the Senate and the governor's office. Oops. Am I still on?
You are. You're
okay,
still.
Thank you. It was very quiet. So I really think that this is something that we're going to really look at. I know Senator Schatz in the Senate just amended his Senate bill to include very similar language as the bill that I have drafted. We know that there are a lot of unfunded projects within our state, a lot of priorities, even within my own district. Obviously, getting a 3rd lane on Highway 55 as it has continually become more congested, seeing accidents every single day from Route Z down to 67. We've had a lot of folks move down into Jefferson County. We see our port getting ready to greatly expand. That's going to put even more traffic on that system. So, and I know that that's one of the projects on the unfunded priorities. So we'd be glad to see that get done. But there are many others through our state as well that need to get accomplished. So trying to find those funding sources. People want good roads. They want good bridges. They want to be safe. They're traveling on them for work. They're, the school buses are on them. I think this is definitely an option that we can use and provide some much needed funding. And with that, if anybody has questions or anything that I can answer for them, I'd be happy to.
Representative Ruth, this is Eric Curdy again with MoDOT. Thank you so much. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself if you do, or type them in the chat box and we'll read them to the rep.
A question from the chat box. Please explain the rebate again, only for amount of new taxes.
Yes, so it would only be for the new taxes, the 2 cents for the first year. If you save your gas receipts, you'll fill out a form with Department of Revenue. We already have that system in place with the ag fuel rebate, so it'd be very easy to administer, but you'll simply fill out the form, keep your receipts. So you must keep your receipts for at least 3 years and turn that in to the Department of Revenue. And then the Department of Revenue has 30 days to give you your money back on the amount of the new taxes. So on that, for the first year, you would be getting the rebate on the 2 cents for every gallon of gasoline that you use. Next year, when it goes up, it would be on, 4 cents and so on until you get to 10 cents.
Thank you. Don't see other questions in the chat box yet. Anyone else have a question for the representative?
Eric, a question was sent to me.
Okay.
Do you anticipate this measure as something that could go through the legislative process this year and go into effect in August 2021?
Actually, the language says that it will go into effect January 1, 2022. But I do anticipate it going through the legislature this year. It's going to be a little bit of an uphill climb, as with any taxes are, any fuel taxes, as we've seen in the past. But I really believe that this is something that is doable.
Great to hear.
Another question from the chat box. Is the rebate for only Missouri residents or anyone?
No, it has to be open to anyone because of the interstate commerce clause that we have.
The next question, would the rebate expire, sunset, or at some point?
In my language of my bill, there is no sunset. We want to make sure, again, that we're staying as close to the Constitution as possible and trying to have the best piece of legislation that would stand up against any lawsuit. And if we put a sunset on it, that could create an issue with, the Hancock Amendment later down the road.
Thank you. Another question we have, what percent was refunded in South Carolina?
About 15%.
We have another question. Is the rebate permanent or does it phase out at some point?
No, it's permanent.
Would this create a cottage industry for firms to aggregate and resell rebates?
No, rebates cannot be sold or traded.
And then the last question we have, Are new fuel taxes revenues shared with cities and counties as current fuel taxes?
Yes, the fuel taxes as stipulated by the Constitution has to go into the road fund, and then they are appropriated out as for the other fuel taxes.
And Representative Ruth, I'm seeing one other question. What other transportation priorities do you have?
I'm working on a couple of them. One of them is our AIM zones for our ports. We currently have AIM zones, but that is set to expire in 2023. So we're trying to extend the sunset on that to 2031. We've seen this become a very useful tool for the ports. Port KC especially, they were able to attract the USDA and bring in all of those jobs, and they were able to use AIM zones as a part of that too. So that's one of the pieces that I'm working on. The other piece that I'm working on is dealing with truck drivers and CDLs. In order to bring us into compliance with federal law, my bill would require that if you are convicted, not just merely charged, but actually convicted of human sex trafficking using a commercial vehicle, then you would lose your CDL permanently. And this is something the federal government has, and Missouri has to come into compliance with that. If we don't, we will lose federal dollars. The first year we're not in compliance with it, we could lose 26 million, and the second year would be 54 million. So that's really a priority to try to get that done.
Representative Ruth, you're popular. We're getting lots of questions now. Two of them, we're going to go two at a time now. How many years do you know how long it took the South Carolina legislature to discuss this version before it was passed? And is it applicable to both gas and diesel?
It is applicable to all fuels, and they actually did it the first year they worked on this model. The interesting thing about the South Carolina model is when South Carolina did this, they had a supermajority in the House, a majority in the Senate, and a Republican governor. The governor vowed to veto any gas tax, which he did so quietly at night, and the next day both their House and Senate voted to override his veto of it. And that was in 2017. So they've been doing this now. Their fuel tax went into effect in 2018.
Great, thanks. Another question, are there any concern about apps or other tools that might bump the rebate up to a higher percentage to take a bigger bite out of the tax increase?
No, I don't believe that there's any concerns about that.
Another question, is it indexed for inflation?
No, it is not.
All right. To my team, I believe that's all the questions I see so far. Do you all have others for the representative?
Eric, I'm seeing one more question. Is South Carolina the only other state doing this?
That is the only other state that I know of currently that's doing the rebate. There are a lot of states right now that have many fuel tax measures that they're working with in their legislature. I just received an update from NCSL the other day, and there are quite a few states that are working on funding for transportation.
Representative Ruth, or my team, any last questions? I don't see any more in the chat box. Oh, it's and just as I say that, is South Carolina plan a 5-year plan or is it permanent?
Theirs was a 6-year plan and raised the gas tax to 12 cents.
Okay. Well, Representative Ruth, thank you so much for your time today with all of us, and we appreciate your insights. This topic is near and dear to everyone on this call, so thank you for your time and appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely. If I can be of any help, please reach out to me at any time.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right, I have been given word that Senator Brown may be with us now. Senator Brown, before I introduce you, can you do a sound check to let me know you can hear me and I can hear you? I think you got to hit *6 on your phone if you're on a phone.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Right, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, let me introduce you, and then we'll turn it over to you. So, Senator Brown was elected in 2018 to represent Missouri's 16th senatorial district, which includes Camden, Pulaski, Phelps, Crawford, and Dent counties. Senator Brown is a native of Phelps County and is a graduate of the University of Missouri-Rolla, now Missouri S&T, with a degree in history. Following college, Senator Brown worked as a commercial loan officer, specializing in agricultural financing while owning and operating a family farm. Senator Brown, a resident of Rolla, is the father of 3 children. In 2020, Senator Brown was assigned as the chairman of the Senate Transportation, Infrastructure, and Public Safety Committee. This committee considers bills and matters referred to concerning roads, highways, bridges, airports, aviation, railroads, port authorities, and other means of transportation, and matters relating to motor fuel, motor vehicles, motor vehicle registration, driver's licenses, and matters related to the safety of the general public. Senator Brown, thanks so much for joining us today at our annual meeting, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm very, very pleased and happy to be the chairman of transportation this year. I do have a small trucking business too, so it's kind of an issue or a subject that's near and dear to my heart. And I was on the transportation committee the 2 previous sessions before this one, so this will be my 3rd year on the committee and the 1st year of chairing it. We did vote out a fuel tax bill yesterday morning that had Becky, Representative Ruth's language as a committee substitute on there, and I won't go back through that. She definitely knows that issue better than I, as far as the being the bill handler as the language goes. But that got out of committee with only 1 dissenting vote. It was 5-1. We're not sure when it'll roll out on the Senate floor. I'm assuming it'll wait till Representative Ruth gets hers out on the floor and hopefully pass. So we had a joint transportation committee meeting as well. MoDOT gave their annual report. Director McKenna thought he did a really good job, and still kind of, I mean, that's about the only bill that we really handled regarding, transportation issues to speak of. That committee also deals with public safety. So the majority of our bills right now on our side have been more public safety bills than they've been transportation. But we were able to get it out and hopefully get it on the calendar here next week. So.
All right. Are you still with us?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'd be happy to take any questions from anybody.
Yeah, let's see if we've got some questions. Anybody can either unmute themselves or type the question into the chat box. Give us a second here, Senator. We'll see if we generate any questions. Okay. We'll say that Representative Ruth kind of ran it from the alpha to the omega too. So
right.
Good morning. We have our first question in the chat. This question is, why was indexing not considered?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Why was indexing not considered?
I have not been involved in any negotiation on the language because I'm not the bill handler on this side. It's Senator Dave Schatz. So, my job basically was getting it, a hearing in the committee and getting it out, but I don't know why they didn't index it. That might be something that, that could come up on the floor,
Very true. All right, we've got another one. With autonomous vehicles being the buzzword, what are the chances of a gas tax being voted in the state?
I don't guess I really understand the question. You're saying, I mean, are you talking about like being electric vehicles versus gas?
I believe so. I think that's what they're.
Yeah, well, I think what's going to happen, and we've had this discussion last session too, the registration fees for these electric vehicles are going to have to be increased to compensate for, I would like to see some studies, and I've asked, and I'm waiting on results to see the difference between the weight of an electric vehicle versus a traditional vehicle and what the difference in damage that does on the highways. So, I mean, there's going to have to be an adjustment with the fee structure on how those vehicles are registered in the future.
All right. Thank you, Senator. We have another question. You may know this, I don't, but it says, is the Senate looking at extending AIM zones like the House?
There's a few bills, yeah.
All right.
That have been introduced. We haven't had any referred to us yet, but there's been a few that's been introduced.
All right. Senator, another question. Do you anticipate any movement in this session on a primary seatbelt law or hands-free legislation for cell phones?
We don't currently have one that I know of. That's not been referred to us yet. Now, that doesn't mean somebody might have introduced one that we haven't caught, but we haven't had anything like that referred to us regarding cell phones or seatbelts.
Very good. Very good. You're getting lots of questions here. Would it be possible to still charge a fuel tax on electricity as there is on gas?
I don't think so.
All right. Are the rebates handled during a certain time each year? And then if you miss that period, your ability to redeem expires?
Yeah, there has to be. It has to be by April 15th. And there are written verifications on the claims. They have to be submitted no later than April 15th. And you have to have, like the date of the sale, the name of the purchaser, the name of the seller, number of gallons, purchase number of gallons. And April 15th is they won't accept any applications submitted later than that.
Very well. Another question, are there any concerns we will not see the full impact of the tax increase if Missourians are thriftier than South Carolinians and a much higher percentage take advantage of the rebate?
No. I don't see a problem.
Someone has sent in a note for you that says, David, there is a Senate companion bill to the AIM zone extension. Senator Weiland is handling it, and it is SB 5. All right, and that's more of a comment, but we do have another question. What have you been hearing from your constituency about the tax proposal?
Well, I've been on conference calls with our planning commissions and things like that, or all the county commissioners. They're in full support of it in all 5 of my counties. It's a little bit of a mixed bag out. This has really not been brought to the constituents as a whole, yet. I'm going to have a press release on it tomorrow that it was, that we got it voted out of committee. Just talking in meetings and things like that. For the most part, with the rebate on there and it staying on there, most people are pretty supportive of it that I've talked to.
Good to hear. Thank you. To my team, I don't see any more questions in the chat box. Do you have any through other means? All right. Well, Kate, did you have any more?
Nope. I was just going to tell you we are good to go.
Senator Brown, thank you very much for joining us today on a cold, wintry day. And it's in your busy schedule. We appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts and answer a few questions from around the state.
I appreciate the opportunity, and if I could be of any help, let me know. Our office is always open, so we will do what we can to help.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.